A diminished interval occurs when a minor or perfect interval is flattened by one half step. For example, in video 7 of this series, we learned that because the two notes are separated by 10 consecutive half steps, an interval of a minor seventh above the note A is the note G. Knowing that a diminished interval is created when a minor interval is flattened by a half step, if an interval of a minor seventh above A is G, then an interval of a diminished seventh above the note A would be the note G flat. Now, the note G flat is the enharmonic equivalent of the note F sharp, meaning both letter names are in fact the same pitch. Therefore, you may have noticed that an interval of a diminished seventh above the note A sounds exactly the same as an interval of a major sixth. However, because we are currently discussing an interval of a diminished seventh, we must use the letter name G flat rather than F sharp. That's because an interval of a diminished seventh is an alteration of a minor seventh interval, which is in fact the note G. As stated earlier, another way that a diminished interval is created is when a perfect interval is flattened by one half step. For example, in video 5, we learned that an interval of a perfect fifth above the note C is the note G. To play an interval of a diminished fifth above the note C, simply flatten the note G by one half step. Here you can see that an interval of a diminished fifth above the note C is the note G flat. On the other hand, an augmented interval occurs when the top note of a major or perfect interval is raised by one half step. In video 6, we learned that because they are separated by the distance of 9 consecutive half steps, an interval of a major sixth above the note G is the note E. To play an interval of an augmented sixth above G, simply sharpen the note E by one half step to the note E sharp. Now again, even though E sharp and F are enharmonic equivalents, or different names for the same pitch, because an augmented sixth is an alteration of an interval of a major sixth, we must use the letter name E sharp. Seeing how perfect intervals can be augmented as well, if an interval of a perfect fourth above the note C is the note F, then an interval of an augmented fourth above C is the note F sharp. A tritone is a unique interval in that because the distance separating each note is 6 consecutive half steps, it is exactly half the amount of steps as a perfect eighth or octave. For example, 6 consecutive half steps above the note B is the note F. Now, seeing how an interval of a perfect fifth above B is the note F sharp, and F natural is one half step lower than F sharp, this interval of B natural to F natural is therefore considered to be an interval of a diminished fifth. Another 6 half steps above the note F brings us to the note B. B natural, being one half step above the note B flat, is an interval of an augmented fourth above F. In other words, a tritone can either be a diminished fifth or an augmented fourth, depending upon which way you look at it. Because of its dissonant sound quality, tritones create vibrational tension within the dominant 7 chord so that resolution to the tonic may be more apparent. For example, the notes of a G dominant 7 chord are G, B, D, and F. As we have just discovered, the interval between the note B and the note F is a tritone. Resolving these notes to the tonic chord C major gives the listener a greater sense of completion. Here's how it sounds in context. Again, we will go further into dominant chords in a later video. In the final video of this series, we're going to discuss a few tricks and tips that will make working with intervals a bit easier.